Hello everyone, welcome back. This is a game between Grandmaster Denis Lazavik, a very talented young prodigy, and between the Grandmaster Maxime lagrave, the finisher number 2 of the Champions Tour final of the round 1. So let's start the game. Denis opened with the d4. Maxime responded with knight to f6, knight to f3, g6. Now the King's Indian defense is on the board, and c4, bishop to g7, e3, castle, bishop to e2, and now this e5. Of course, the white has a very strong center here, so you have to strike your opponent's center. So Maxim did the same, and now d5. Now just simply d6. Knight to c3 is played. e6 trying to break the center, and now knight to d7. Now the b5 trying to get rid of these strong pawns. So Denis took on the e6 first, and then after bishop to the e6, he plays pawn takes pawn, and now Denis is a pawn up here. So d5 is played, trying to get rid of this backward pawn, and also as the white is in the center, so you have to open the center files, so the rook can come here. Now castle, and now just simply knight to d7 is played, and now knight to f3 again, and just simply h6 is played to stop knight to the g5 to harassing the bishop, and now just simply a4 is played as you have extra pawn, and if you can protect the extra pawn, you have to always have to protect the extra pawn, as there is nothing harm in the position. So queen to c7 is played by the Maxim, and now a5 is played. After a5, rook to d8 is played, and now rook to f4 is played. The idea of the rook to a4 is that if in case of a black pushes the pawn forward, you can take with the pawn, you can always have extra attackers here. So now the rook to e8 is played by the MVL, and now bishop to d2 and bishop to g4, and that is a mistake, because okay, if you look closely, this bishop is protecting the knight, and also this same bishop is protecting this pawn, so the bishop is overloaded. So now Denis simply capture the pawn in the center. Knight takes d4, and now bishop takes knight, and rook takes knight is played, and now the Denis is simply a 2 pawn up here, and now knight to f6 is played, hitting the rook, and now just simply rook to a4 back. Knight to e4 is played, trying to attacking the bishop, as this rook is also on this same line, and the queen is pinned. So Denis unpinned the queen by queen to c2, and now c4 is played. So now just simply bishop takes c4, knight to e6 is played, and just simply bishop to b3. Now Maxim took the queen off the board, and now bishop takes queen, and now knight takes b4 is played. So Emil won back a pawn here in this process, and now bishop to c1 is played, trying to protect the pawn from this bishop, and now rook to b8 is played, trying to attack this pawn when the knight moves. So rook to d1 is played, hitting the bishop, and now bishop to e6 simple, and now just simply rook to a1 back, and now rook to c8 is played, and now bishop to d3 is played, and now bishop to b3 hitting the rook, rook to e1, rook to d8, and bishop takes knight, rook takes bishop, and now knight to d4 is played. Here Emil played rook to b7, which is a mistake. Here Emil can win back a simply pawn here. After bishop takes knight, pawn takes bishop, and simply rook takes pawn here. Now the Denis is only a simply 1 pawn up, and his position is a draw because opposite color bishop and a 1 pawn up or 1 pawn down position is always a draw. So instead Emil plays rook to b7 here, and after rook to b7, Denis finds a6, and now rook to b6 is played. Now just simply bishop to d2, and after bishop to d2, rook to d7 is played, bishop to c3, and now bishop to c4, rook to a4, again attacking the bishop. Now bishop to d3 is played, rook to a1, trying to protect the pawn, and now just simply rook to d6. Now there are 3 attackers to the pawn on the a6 and only 2 defenders, so this pawn is lost. So after h3, bishop to f8 is played, and now knight to f3 is played. Now just simply rook takes pawn, rook takes rook, rook takes rook, rook takes rook, and bishop takes rook. And now bishop to d4, bishop to d4 is played, and now this pawn is gone. So again Denis is a 2 pawn up here after bishop takes pawn, and now this position is winning for Denis. And of course there are some drawing chances if you able to exchange this knight for this bishop, so there will be an opposite color bishop which has a high drawing chances always. And now f6 is played, bishop to d4, again hitting the pawn, king to f7, knight to d2, king to e6, f3, f5, king to f2, bishop to d4, and simply knight to b1, bishop to b4. After knight to c3, Maxime eliminated the knight as he wanted to go to the opposite color bishop ending. So we're at the high drawing chances. So now g5 is played by the MVL, and now g4, pawn takes pawn, as Emil is very happy to exchange all the pawns. So now pawn takes pawn again, and after king to the f7, e4 is played. Now e4 is a mistake, as now you have to play this move and Emil can simply capture this pawn, and there are only 3 isolated pawns, which is easy for Emil. Instead, what Denis has to do here, he has to play f4 here, and now after f4, bishop to b3, you just simply move the pawn forward, and after bishop to d5, b4 is played. This is simply extremely hard to hold for a black, as okay, if this pawn is moving forward, the bishop has to take care of this, and you can just simply move the king and promote the pawn forward. And now if the king tries to move away, you can simply go to the bishop to b7, bishop to g7, and target these pawns. So this is better, but instead e4 is played, and now bishop to b3 again, and now king to e3, king to g6, f4 is played now, and just simply Emil eliminates the pawn. And now king to f7 is played, bishop to b4, bishop to e6, bishop to the c5, bishop to c8, b4. Of course you have to move the pawn forward, and now bishop to d7, preventing pawn move, and now just simply bishop to e3 back, king to the f6, bishop to d4 check, king to f7, bishop to c3, king to the g3, bishop to d2, and now again back to king to f7. And now Denis plays the move g5 out of desperation, as he was very long time. This is a rapid game. The time control is 10+2 with a 2-second increment, and Denis only has 8 seconds up to this moment, so he just eliminates this pawn, and now pawn takes pawn. Now this position is a completely draw. All Maxime has to do is to hurt this king to entering in the position, and his pawn cannot be moved forward. So Emil plays king to e6, and now king to the f4, king to d6 is played, king to the e3, bishop to b5, king to d4, bishop to f1 is played, and now bishop to f4, king to c6, king to the e5, bishop to d3, which is a key move in the position. As kings you can always take the pawn, and bishop to d2, bishop to c2, king to the f4 again, bishop to b1, king to e3, bishop c2, king to d4, bishop to b1 back, and now bishop to c3, bishop to c2. Okay, they just keep moving forward, so I am taking this game forward up to the point where is another critical moment of the game. Now here, this is the critical moment of the game, as Emil has to play king to the e6, because now after king to the j5, king cannot enter the position, but instead Maxime plays king to the c6, and now the white is completely winning here, because all white has to play is to king to the g5. After bishop to e6, king to f6 is played, and now just simply bishop to c4 again, king to e7. Okay, king to the d5. Now just simply pawn push forward, king to the c6 is played here, and now here Emil can take a draw after. Okay, now this is not possible. This is hard to play. So now after, I'll just simply the pawn moves to the e7. Now the king to the e5 is played, and after now the bishop to f1, king to f6, bishop to c4, bishop to f. There is nothing in the position. His bishop cannot give the square of this. Also, this has to eye on this square. So just after moving some forward moves, I'm really sorry, Denis able to push the pawn to the b5, and here after bishop to e8, king to d6, king to c7, king to c5, king to b7, and just simply b6. And now after king to c8, king to d6, bishop to g4, and just simply king to e6, and just simply bishop to f8. In this position, the Emil resigns the game, as after whatever you play, this is simply winning. So here we go back to the position. Here after king to the e6, where Emil plays the king to g6, and he lost the game. He has to find a move king to e6, because now after king to g5 is not work here, because you can go bishop to b5, king to g6, bishop to d8, sorry, bishop to e8, king to the g7, bishop to b5 back again here, and just simply now this king is cut. This pawn cannot move forward, and this is a draw, and also the king cannot enter through his route. So a very young prodigy defeated French number 2 Maxime lagrave, and it is a very interesting game. Also we get some learning insight how to defend opposite color bishop endgame with the 2 pawns on the board. So if you like the video, please guys subscribe.